Ahmed, I've been calling you downstairs. What are you doing? Your uncle is coming in 2 minutes.
Yeah, I'll be down.
Again on your mobile.
Yeah.
This is rubbish. You're wasting your time. How many times should I tell you to read at least 3 verses of Quran each day?
Yeah.
This will be very beneficial for your akhirah. I'm actually very disappointed on you. I'm giving up, okay?
You know what? I think I should read a few verses of the Quran. Why not? Let's see. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. اعلموا أنما الحياة الدنيا لعب ولهو وزينة وتفاخر بينكم وتكاثر في الأموال والأولاد كمثل غيث أعجب الكفار نباته ثم يهيج فتراه مصفرا ثم يكون حطاما وفي الآخرة عذاب شديد ومغفرة من الله ورضوان وما الحياة الدنيا إلا متاع الغرور. Wait, I forgot to Instagram. Should I purified? Yes, get so many likes. Hold on. Oh, sorry. How's it going?
What was taking you so long?
Good, I was just
I'm busy, have a Ferrari outside.
Yo, Ferrari, that is sick, man.
Why are you taking so long?
I know, I was just busy. Yo, Uncle Habib, look at them shoes, man. I like them. How much they cost? 3,000 quid. Nah, that's too much. Like, come on, man. You know what?
Come on.
I know. You know, I mean, I know, like, you know, you're rich and all, but I just need a little bit more money. You know, just I need to upgrade my phone.
What is this? This is rubbish.
I know. I've been needing for like a little upgrade. I just need like 100 quid. You know what I mean? Like,
100? What do you need?
Yeah, just a bit.
Come on.
Just help
600.
600 quid.
Come on. You're a good lad.
Thank you very much, Habib.
Come, let's ride in the Ferrari.
Let's go ride. Start for some Quran again. It's that time of day. See again what we have. Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ولقد آتينا لقمان الحكمة أن اشكر لله ومن يشكر فإنما يشكر لنفسه ومن كفر فإن الله غني حميد.
I'm going to the grocery to do some shopping. Do you need anything?
Yeah, I do need a little bit of stuff.
Really?
Yeah, sure. Let's go.
Okay, so let's go.
So you know, Mom, I was gonna tell you, I was gonna complain. These glasses, I know you got them as well, but I hate them. I don't know how you live with them. I want to get laser eye treatment.
Are you serious?
Yeah, like,
this is so expensive.
I know it's expensive, but you can ask Uncle Habib.
Listen, you have eyes, you can see, you should be grateful.
Yeah, grateful, man. Might as well be poor, like what? Grateful. Come on, man.
Any questions?
Back to the Quran. I think I'm starting to like this thing a bit more. Let's see what else is got. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم واعبدوا الله ولا تشركوا به شيئا وبالوالدين إحسانا وبذي القربى واليتامى والمساكين والجار ذي القربى والجار الجنب والصاحب بالجنب وابن السبيل وما ملكت أيمانكم إن الله لا يحب من كان مختالا فخورا.
Oh my
my God, are you reading the Quran?
Yeah, I am. I'm reading Surah.
You gotta read it 5 times a day.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've been.
And I know 65 surahs by heart.
I've been trying to like.
When was the last time you went to the masjid?
I've been going,
Anyways, Mom was calling you.
Maida, I've been calling you downstairs.
What
What are you doing?
What
The
am I supposed to
dishes.
do? You always make me do everything. Why don't you ever make him do anything?
Are you serious?
Whatever.
Are you listening to what you say?
Wow. I've been reading the Quran, and I'm sure Maida has as well. And like her, I don't think I've been understanding it as well. I haven't been reading it with understanding. That time, I read that verse about counting your blessings, and I complained about my eyesight, and there are blind people, and, homeless people. And like Maida, she's read the Quran as well, and she's disrespecting Mom. All the verses, all the surahs she memorized. No, that's not good. I think I should start reading it with more understanding, more comprehension.
The dishes.
I'm not doing that.
It's fine, Mom. Mom, I'll do them. It's fine, let them to me.
You?
Yeah, I'll do them.
Mashallah, mashallah.
Thanks. End of play. I hope you guys get the message, by the way. The message is that we need to, start reading the Quran with more understanding. If you don't understand the Arabic language, move on to the translation, English, Urdu, whatever. Inshallah, we'll all benefit from this holy book. Jazakumullah khair.
Jazakallah for that reminder, Ahmed. Okay, now on to the main event. We have the Qari. It's a local Qari from Dano Masjid, from a local masjid called Industry Road. Please make him feel welcome. He's travelled here, and yeah, Jazakallah for him to come in. Unfortunately, the Sheikh couldn't be here today, so instead we're going to have our very own president, Thaqib Moosa, going to be the Sheikh here. Let's all make dua for him, inshallah. Yeah. So inshallah we're going to start with Surah Yusuf. Verse 78. No, sorry, we're going to start with Surah Isra, verse 78.
Everyone. Jazakumullah khair for coming. I specifically told Farhan many times not to call me Sheikh. Just ignore the Sheikh part when we found out that the real Sheikh cancelled. Today's event is about kind of going into the Quran and finding out the messages that are within its verses. So going a little bit lower than the translation. And I wouldn't say it's completely a tafsir, because tafsir is more comprehensive, whereas this is picking very specific parts of surahs. So we'll be going through selected passages from the Quran. And we've got a list of about 6 or 7, inshallah. So bear with us, inshallah. The first passage that we're doing is from Surah Isra, inshallah. And I'll ask Qari Hamad to please take it from my Mashkuran. The translation will be up on the projector screen, inshallah.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أقم الصلاة لدلوك الشمس إلى غسق الليل وقرآن الفجر إن قرآن الفجر كان مشهودا ومن الليل فتهجد به نافلة لك عسى أن يبعثك ربك مقاما محمودا وقل رب أدخلني مدخل صدق وأخرجني مخرج صدق واجعل لي من لدنك سلطانا نصيرا وقل جاء الحق وزهق الباطل إن الباطل كان زهوقا وننزل من القرآن ما هو شفاء ورحمة للمؤمنين ولا يزيد الظالمين إلا خسارا وإذا أنعمنا على الإنسان أعرض ونأى بجانبه وإذا مسه الشر كان يئوسا قل كل يعمل على شاكلته فربكم أعلم بمن هو أهدى سبيلا.
Jazakallah khair for that. So the first passage is Surah Salah, and as you heard, it's going about the importance of Salah. And the surah, as it's continuing, it's talking about the many challenges and the problems that were faced by the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. And right after mentioning a list of these problems in the first two rak'ahs, it goes into Salah, and how Salah is the cure, or Salah is the way to get out of these obstacles. So this is kind of showing that Salah is a way for Prophet Muhammad ﷺ to honor himself. And then the next one goes into أقم الصلاة لدلوك الشمس إلى غسق الليل وقرآن الفجر. Qur'an al-Fajr in this particular verse is the key thing that I want to focus on, because it has a threefold meaning. Qur'an al-Fajr is the Salat al-Fajr, and this is why in Salat al-Fajr it's conventional for Imams to make the Salah really long. So that Salah, that Qur'an is Qur'an al-Fajr. Secondly is the Sunan, just the two Sunnahs before the prayer of Fajr. And there's a hadith where the Prophet ﷺ said that if there were any other Salah other than the 5 Salawat, which would be fard, it would be these two Sunan. And the third aspect is Qur'an al-Fajr, is reading Qur'an after Salat al-Fajr. So that is the concept. There's a hadith again which says that the people who sit after Salat al-Fajr, so you pray Salat al-Fajr and you sit and you read Adhkar until Shuruq, that is like the ajr of the reward of doing a Hajj and Umrah. So that's the threefold meaning of Qur'an al-Fajr. And the next thing is وَمِنَ اللَّيْلِ فَتَهَجَّدْ بِهِ. So this is the importance of tahajjud, and not only tahajjud, but you can extend that to all the nawafil themselves. And so the more optional prayers or optional any other acts that you do, the closer you come to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And there's a hadith Qudsi which goes on, and one of the things it says is وَمَا زَالَ عَبْدِي يَتَقَرَّبُ إِلَيَّ بِالنَّوَافِلِ حَتَّى أُحِبُّهُ. And my slave keeps coming closer and closer and closer to me through nawafil, through optional prayers. So you kind of develop that friendship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you become really, really close to Him. Another thing that this verse focuses on right after is مَقَامًا مَحْمُودًا يَبْعَثَكَ رَبُّكَ مَقَامًا مَحْمُودًا. The maqam mahmuda, the position that is most praised, that is very praised, is what we say after when we make the dua after the adhan. That we say that may Allah give, we ask Allah to give Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam the maqam al-mahmud which he has been promised. And this again has a twofold meaning in the single verse, which is the Prophet ﷺ is under a lot of pressure. This is the Meccan period, and he's almost being expelled from his land, and yet he's being told that you're going to get that victory and you're going to be in a position of power. So it was kind of a subtle glad tidings that Muhammad ﷺ will end up on top again. So this is the direct relationship between salah and honor again. And the last thing, and moving down from it, the last verse, which is talking about the Quran. وَنُنَزِّلُ مِنَ الْقُرْآنِ مَا هُوَ شِفَاءٌ وَرَحْمَةٌ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ وَلَا يَزِيدُ الظَّالِمِينَ إِلَّا خَسَارًا. So this is talking about the Quran itself and the importance of the Quran and why we should be reading it. So it says, وَنُنَزِّلُ مِنَ الْقُرْآنِ we reveal from the Quran, or send down from the Quran, مَا هُوَ شِفَاءٌ لِلنَّاسِ, what is a cure for the people. And this is a cure for all diseases, mental, psychological, spiritual, etc. مَا هُوَ شِفَاءٌ لِلنَّاسِ وَرَحْمَةٌ. So it is a mercy upon you. So surely it's upon you to make use of this mercy and to benefit from the wisdom that is held within these verses. So that's the end of this passage, and the next passage we'll be going to will be Surah Yusuf. Now the way we're going to look at Surah Yusuf is not through the story of Surah Yusuf, but we're going to go from the perspective of Yaqub alayhi salam and the lessons we can get from his story and what must have been going on in his mind throughout. So the story of Yusuf, the reason I picked Surah Yusuf is because it's one of the easiest surahs to go into the tafsir of. It's the only surah which from the beginning to the end is focusing on only one single story. It goes through the story of Yusuf alayhi salam from beginning to end. Yusuf alayhi salam is not mentioned anywhere else in the Quran. And his story reaches its beginning and conclusion over here. And we'll be going through selected passages on here where we can kind of examine the perspective from Yaqub alayhi salam's point of view.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. لقد كان في يوسف وإخوته آيات للسائلين إذ قالوا ليوسف وأخوه أحب إلى أبينا منا ونحن عصبة إن أبانا لفي ضلال مبين اقتلوا يوسف أو اطرحوه أرضا يخل لكم وجه أبيكم وتكونوا من بعده قوما صالحين. قال قائل منهم لا تقتلوا يوسف وألقوه في غيابة الجب يلتقطه بعض السيارة إن كنتم فاعلين. قالوا يا أبانا ما لك لا تأمنا على يوسف وإنا له لناصحون أرسله معنا غدا يرتع ويلعب وإنا له لحافظون. قال إني ليحزنني أن تذهبوا به وأخاف أن يأكله الذئب وأنتم عنه غافلون. قالوا لئن أكله الذئب ونحن عصبة إنا إذا لخاسرون. فلما ذهبوا به وأجمعوا أن يجعلوه في غيابة الجب وأوحينا إليه لتنبئنهم بأمرهم هذا وهم لا يشعرون. وجاءوا أباهم عشاء يبكون قالوا يا أبانا إنا ذهبنا نستبق وتركنا يوسف عند متاعنا فأكله الذئب وما أنت بمؤمن لنا ولو كنا صادقين وجاءوا على قميصه بدم كذب قال بل سولت لكم أنفسكم أمرا فصبر جميل والله المستعان على ما تصفون.
So now we're in the story of Yusuf alayhi salam. And the way the story is introduced to us earlier on in the surah is that this is ahsan al-qasas, this is the best of stories. There isn't another story like this, fiction or non-fiction. So we start with Yusuf alayhi salam, a young boy. Some narrations say 7 to 8, some go as high as 15, but he was basically quite young. And he had a dream that he told his father, which showed signs of greatness. And so now obviously we have this father, Yaqub alayhi salam, who's also a prophet, and Yusuf alayhi salam was a 4th gen prophet. So Ibrahim alayhi salam, his great grandfather, was a prophet, Ishaq alayhi salam was a prophet, Yaqub alayhi salam was a prophet, and now Yusuf alayhi salam was a prophet. And so we've got Yusuf alayhi salam, young boy. He tells his father of the dream. Yaqub alayhi salam is very proud of him, and he's very close to him. And Yusuf alayhi salam and his brother Binyamin have 10 older brothers. These 10 brothers are all from the same mother. They're not from the same, so they're step brothers of Yusuf alayhi salam and Binyamin. And so these 10 brothers have a feeling of jealousy. And the verse mentions very particularly, it says that they said that Inna abana lafi dalalin mubin. Our father is verily in a great he's basically deluded. He's in a great delusion. So the brothers, in their jealousy, and it's very interesting what their jealousy and their love for their father, the only thing they want is attention from their father, and to be better in the eyes of their father. And this twisted love sort of leads them to do something, and it leads to clouding their judgment. So they're having this discussion with each other, and they say, "Iqtulu Yusuf aw itrahu." So get rid of him, get him out of the way. And so within Yusuf alayhi salam's family, within this 10-year-old boy's family, there's a plot against him. And the brothers have lost the judgment to the extent that they're all about to agree to kill him. And within this, the voice of reason sort of becomes the oldest brother Yehuda, who says to them, says, "La taqtulu Yusuf, don't kill him. How about this? A reasonable idea. What if we throw him down a well? So we're not killing him, and after that we'll continue doing good deeds. So we'll become righteous people after that." So this one thing the story shows us is very applicable to us, because these 10 brothers were Muslims, and these 10 brothers understood what was required of them. Their father was a prophet, and their brother was about to become a prophet. They didn't know that, obviously. They didn't know the great things that were in stock for Yusuf alayhi salam. But they were plotting, and they'd kind of lost their minds. They were ready to disobey their dad. Their mentality had become do this now, we'll repent later, we'll see about the future. And if you think of the logic of this decision, our dad we think he's his favorite child, so let's kill him, let's get him out of the way, and surely if we take away something that our father loves, then surely he will love us. Which is logic that seems to us to be deluded as well. So that they kind of lost their mind and they wanted to do it so bad that they just lost the voice of reason. So now they've agreed, and the help that came to Yusuf alayhi salam in one way was from within them. So their oldest brother said, how about we don't kill him, we kidnap him and put him down a well, which was effectively because it was a jub. So it was a jub by definition is not a well. It's a very small well in some off the track area, and the story says يَلْتَقِتْهُ بَعْدُ السَّيَّارَةِ, so that some caravan would find him. Now caravans conventionally would stop at a main pathway, so you would have bigger wells on that way. So basically they'd lost touch with reason, and they were about to go on and do something so cruel. And so they come up to their dad and they say to him, as if they only mean good for him. So they say to their father, they say, Ya Abana, oh our father, Ya Abana, malaka la ta'manna ala Yusuf. What is with you that you don't trust us with Yusuf? So they're trying to play like the emotional blackmail card. What do you think? Why do you not trust us? Do you think there's something wrong with us? And on top of that, they said that we only وَإِنَّا لَهُ لَنَاصِحُونَ. All we want is the good of him. And so they said, let us take Yusuf out for a day, and this day we'll go out, he'll play with us, he'll race with us, we'll have a great time off in the desert, and this day is all about him, so we'll really be caring about him. And now, Yaqub alayhi salam, he felt something, so he said to them, he said, but I worry that the wolf will catch him. And in the tone of the verses, you can kind of sense that Yaqub alayhi salam is trying to resist it. He's trying to resist sending his son off. And so they say no. They say, just tell us, if a wolf comes, we got this. So Yaqub alayhi salam capitulates to the demand. And now they go out. And Yusuf alayhi salam's out with his brothers. They're playing and racing. And perhaps he thinks that it's just a fun time, inshallah. And they go out, and what they do is they take him and they take his shirt off, and they throw him down the well. And the way they throw him down the well was they lowered him in the bucket, and then they cut the rope of the bucket. And at this point you can imagine the fear going through the child. He's 7, 8 years old, maximum 10, 15 years old. His own brothers have done this to him. But at this point, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, through revelation, and revelation could have been through divine inspiration, or some narrations say that Jibreel alayhi salam himself came down and he slowed the fall of the bucket so that Yusuf alayhi salam wouldn't get hurt. So now Yusuf alayhi salam is at the bottom of the well, and again from Yaqub alayhi salam's perspective, he's really worried. He's really worried. He's sent his son off. Okay, fair enough. He's trusted the other sons, and now it's getting late. Conventionally, when you go off in the desert, you don't want to stay all night, and you don't want to stay outside at night because you don't know what could be out there, wild animals, dangers, other things. So Yaqub alayhi salam sat at home, and in many of the verses in Surah Yusuf, it says that Abana Shaykhan Kabira. So Yaqub alayhi salam was of an old age. So at this point, there was nothing he could do. And he was waiting, and you can imagine the stress that he was going through when his sons came back at Isha time. So they came late. They came intentionally late. And the verse says, جَاءُوا أَبَاهُمْ عِشَاءً يَبْكُونَ. So they were crying. So they're crying, they come up to their father. And you can imagine the first thing, he was probably standing at the door, waiting for them to come in. And as soon as he saw them coming, they have a slow walk, they're crying. Sees them coming, he says, what happened? And they say, Ya Abana, inna dhahabna nastabiq. Oh our father, we went out racing, but tarakna Yusuf inda. So we left Yusuf with our things to guard our things, and ourselves we went off wandering off racing and racing, roaming around. فَأَكَلَهُ الذِّئْبُ. So the wolf came and ate him. And then they said this line, they said that you won't believe us even if we are true. Which is ironic because at this moment in time they weren't telling the truth. And Yaqub alayhi salam had gotten the divine inspiration from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so he knew in his heart that they've done something to Yusuf. And you can kind of see that he probably blamed himself. He's like, how could I let them take him? How could I let them take him? I had this feeling inside me and I didn't act on it. And so, they behaved, even if you believe the story, they behaved really irresponsibly. They left a kid who couldn't defend himself in the desert next to his stuff, next to their stuff, and themselves, the people who had sworn to their father that they would protect their younger brother, they went off. And then they brought to their father the shirt of Yusuf alayhi salam. And the shirt had damin kadhib, lying in blood. It's very interesting that terminology like that's been used, lying in blood, because it shows that the blood itself and the lie itself was, many narrations say that Yusuf alayhi salam looked at the shirt and he said to them, what kind of wolf was this who took away my son and left his shirt unharmed, unripped? And what kind of wolf eats a person and then leaves the cloth behind? And so there was no evidence of a struggle or anything. So Yaqub alayhi salam was clearly very stressed. But what was his answer at this point? Yaqub alayhi salam said to them, he said, قَالَ بَلْ سَوَّلَتْ لَكُمْ أَنفُسُكُمْ أَمْرًا. But you made this easy for yourselves. You guys are lying to yourselves. فَصَبْرٌ جَمِيلٌ. And this is a line that's repeated throughout the surah by Yaqub alayhi salam. صَبْرٌ جَمِيلٌ, which is sabr, beautiful. And it can be interpreted, because of the way the Arabic's written, صَبْرٌ جَمِيلٌ. If you say صَبْرٌ جَمِيلٌ, that means that it's a description of the sabr. So not only was sabr the most appropriate action at this point in time, because he knew that if I yell at these kids, I'm just going to make it worse. They're not willing. They'll be like, you don't believe us, you don't trust us, and there'll be more blood. You can imagine how helpless he felt, because he was an old man, and there was nothing he could do. He couldn't go out into the desert and save his son, and he knew his son was alive. At this point, he could be dead. He could be oppressed by someone. He could be enslaved. Anything. And so Yaqub alayhi salam said, "Sabrun jameel," and he said that A, sabr is the most appropriate thing, but B, also the quality of the sabr, the jamal, the beauty is a description of the way he practiced his patience. So he said, "Sabrun jameel, wallahu al-musta'anu ala ma tasifun." And Allah is greater than all of you. I have spoken to Allah. Allah will protect my son, and He will protect me. And for the next passage now, Yaqub alayhi salam, we leave him in this state. He's been dealt this huge blow. And we fast forward maybe 30 odd years. The story of Yusuf is continuing. And Yusuf alayhi salam goes through his own amazing story, where he goes through all sorts of changes and all sorts of trials and tribulations of his own. And at this point, there's not much Yaqub alayhi salam can do. And imagine the time going on and on and on. So there's about 30 years until Yaqub alayhi salam can even hear of anything. And even at this point, he doesn't know anything. So we're at this point in the story now, where Yusuf alayhi salam's gone through his journey. A caravan was lost. It happened to pass by that well. When they lowered the bucket, they got this person come out, and they said, "Oh, this is brilliant. We can sell him as a slave and make extra money off him." And he ended up, again by twist of fate, into the house of one of the richest people in Egypt, and then through another twist of fate, we read about the trials and tribulations in the same surah, trials and tribulations that Yusuf alayhi salam faced with the wife of the Aziz. And then he ended up in prison, and then through another twist in the story, another plot twist, we come out with Yusuf alayhi salam as one of the richest people and the finance minister or the agriculture minister of Egypt. Now set the scene here, it's many years past, and the entire area, so Yusuf alayhi salam's in Egypt, Yaqub alayhi salam's family is still based in Canaan, which is in modern day Palestine, And the whole area went through 7 years of wealth and 7 years of rain. And now they're going through 7 years of drought. So there's no food anywhere around. The only agricultural minister of the area who was responsible enough to take care of this and had the foresight to see this was Yusuf. And so people are coming from far and wide, and they're hearing of this person, Aziz Misr, and they're going to him, and they're giving them they're trading, and they're getting grain for it. And so the 10 brothers of Yusuf alayhi salam, now grown with their families, they were already adults, but now they're even older, and they've come to Aziz Misr and to ask for provisions, and that's where we take the story on again.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم أولئك الذين أنعم الله عليهم من النبيين من ذرية آدم وممن حملنا مع نوح. Sorry, can you just hold down please? أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وجاء إخوة يوسف فدخلوا عليه فعرفهم وهم له منكرون ولما جهزهم بجهازهم قال ائتوني بأخ لكم من أبيكم ألا ترون أني أوفي الكيل وأنا خير المنزلين فإن لم تأتوني به فلا كيل لكم عندي ولا تقربون قالوا سنراود عنه أباه وإنا لفاعلون وقال لفتيانه اجعلوا بضاعتهم في رحالهم لعلهم يعرفونها إذا انقلبوا إلى أهلهم لعلهم يرجعون فلما رجعوا إلى أبيهم قالوا يا أبانا منع منا الكيل فأرسل معنا أخانا نكتل وإنا له لحافظون قال هل آمنكم عليه إلا كما أمنتكم على أخيه من قبل فالله خير حافظا وهو أرحم الراحمين ولما فتحوا متاعهم وجدوا بضاعتهم ردت إليهم قالوا يا أبانا ما نبغي هذه بضاعتنا ردت إلينا ونميع أهلنا ونحفظ أخانا ونزداد كيل بعير ذلك كيل يسير قال لن أرسله معكم حتى تؤتون موثقا من الله لتأتونني به إلا أن يحاط بكم فلما آتوه موثقهم قال الله على ما نقول وكيل وقال يا بني لا تدخلوا من باب واحد وادخلوا من أبواب متفرقة وما أغني عنكم من
Okay, so now we're at the stage in the story where Yusuf alayhi salam's brothers have gone to meet him. Now, they were probably already adults when they threw Yusuf down the well. So Yusuf alayhi salam immediately recognizes them. But he was a meek, shy child when they did that to him. So when they see this confident ruler who's completely changed, they don't recognize their brother. They come to Aziz al-Misr and they get received well, and they give bida'at, so they give their extra wealth. And at this point in time, they probably weren't very well off because of the drought. So they give him whatever they have, and the Aziz instructs for their cases or their sacks to be filled. So he's very kind to them. And then the next thing he does is he asks for everything they brought to be returned to their sacks as well. And in a way that they can tell, because لَعَلَّهُمْ يَرْجِعُونَ, so maybe they'll come back. So he probably knew that, and probably from the state of the things that they were brought, he realized that they were so poor that if he took this as well, then they would never have the ability to come back and trade anything with him, because they wouldn't have anything left. So this is kind of, even though what they did to him, he still cares about their families, and he sends them back, and he wants them to. He wants them to come back, but then he also asks for something else. He says that you are 10 people, and you brought 10 camels, but you asked me for 11 camel loads, and this is because their 11th brother, Binyamin, the full-blood brother of Yusuf alayhi salam, was still there as well, but he hadn't come. So he had been with Yaqub alayhi salam. So he says to them, he said, you took back 11 sacks, 11 camel loads. So next time you come to me, you need to bring the 11th brother. Otherwise, you're not going to get the 11th camel load. So they go to Yaqub alayhi salam and they say, okay, Aziz Misr, this rich guy. Bear in mind, they don't know it's Yusuf alayhi salam, so they don't tell Yaqub alayhi salam it's Yusuf alayhi salam. So now we're in the situation. Yaqub alayhi salam, his old sorrow is remembered, and he says, قال هل آمنتكم عليه إلا كما آمنتكم على أخيه من قبل. So should I trust you with him the way I trusted you with his brother before? So this is the first sign we see of Yaqub alayhi salam's anger after 30 years. And what's the immediate next thing he says? He says, فَاللَّهُ خَيْرٌ حَافِظًا. And so and you can imagine this is a legitimate point of anger for him. They lost their brother out of irresponsibility, his child, and he had great hopes for that child. So the pain of the parent, the only glimpse we see of his anger is that one statement, and then immediately he turns back to Allah. So that's the state of his sabr, of his patience, that he just says straight up, فَاللَّهُ خَيْرًا حَافِظًا وَهُوَ أَرْحَمُ الرَّاحِمِينَ. So Allah is the best of protectors. So he still believes that Allah will protect my son, and he is the most merciful of the merciful. So now they say to their father, and again they use this sort of language, they say that we need to do this for our families, and he says, they say, قالوا يا أبانا ما تبغي هذه بضاعتنا ردت إلينا ونمير أهلنا. So look at this Aziz al-Misr is such a good man. He gave us back what we had. وَنَمِيرُ أَهْلِنَا, and we will feed our families. We're only going to do this to sustain our families and your family. وَذَلِكَ كَيْنُ يَسِيرٌ. So this is something that's good. You need to let us do it. So now again Yaqub alayhi salam capitulates and he says, okay, you can take him, but I'm not going to send him with you unless you give me a firm, you give me your word that you will take care of him as much as you can. And the last verse in this series is very important, because even with Yaqub alayhi salam is so angry at his sons, but he still loves them. And so the last verse is advice for them. He says, don't go in together, because A, you'll attract attention to yourself, which means you're more likely to be robbed, or you're more likely to be unsafe. And some narrations say that it was because the reputation of Canaanites, of people from there, was that they come in to fight. So he wanted to protect them and keep them away from evil, even though he was so angry at them inside, but there was no bitterness towards it.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ارجعوا إلى أبيكم فقولوا يا أبانا إن ابنك سرق وما شهدنا إلا بما علمنا وما كنا للغيب حافظين واسأل القرية التي كنا فيها والعير التي أقبلنا فيها وإنا لصادقون قال بل سولت لكم أنفسكم أمرا فصبر جميل عسى الله أن يأتيني بهم جميعا إنه هو العليم الحكيم وتولى عنهم وقال يا أسفا على يوسف وابيضت عيناه من الحزن فهو كظيم قالوا تالله تفتأ تذكر يوسف حتى تكون حرضا أو تكون من الهالكين قال إنما أشكو بثي وحزني إلى الله وأعلم من الله ما لا تعلمون يا بني اذهبوا فتحسسوا من يوسف وأخيه ولا تيأسوا من روح الله إنه لا ييأس من روح الله إلا القوم الكافرون.
So this is from Yaqub alayhi salam's point of view now. He sends his second son with them, and they go to Yusuf alayhi salam. And from Yaqub alayhi salam's perspective, he doesn't know what happened, because we know the story that Yusuf alayhi salam asked his brother to stay back, and they hatched the plot of that they planted a gold cup in Binyamin's bag, and they had to turn it back. All Yaqub alayhi salam knows is at this point that that his sons went with Binyamin, and now they've come back, and one of them stayed back. So the oldest son, Yehuda, he stayed back. He said, I have not fulfilled my covenant with my father. I said to him, I would not return without Binyamin. So he stayed in Egypt, and he said, go to our father, to the rest of the 9 brothers. And so the 9 brothers come back to Yaqub alayhi salam. And Yaqub alayhi salam at this point is really old. Nothing he can do about it. He's already lost a son. And now he's told that your other son is now in jail in a foreign land. And because he was a thief, and we didn't know he was a thief. We didn't know he was going to steal. He stole. And Yaqub alayhi salam knows his son. He can't believe that his son Binyamin would be one to steal. So he's there at home. He's lost 2 children now. And so he says, and so the verse is, he says, قَالَ يَا أَسَفَ عَلَى يُوسُف. So he says, oh, the pain of Yusuf. And his pain was so much, and the word used at the end of the ayah is kalim. He was kalim. Kalim is used to refer to the nose and the mouth, that when you can't swallow anything. And his eyes went white from the sorrow. So he's bottled up so many emotions that it's physically affecting him. And the next phrase is his son saying to him, they say, oh, you're still stuck on that Yusuf tale. You're not letting it go until you'll die, basically. And so he doesn't have a support network, and he's the only one. He's alone in his sorrow, having lost 2 children. And so he says, إِنَّمَا أَشْكُو بَثِّي وَحُزْنِي إِلَى اللَّهِ. He says, really, the only person I can turn to is Allah. The only person that I can turn to with my the only entity that I can turn to with my sorrow and my grief is Allah, and the only person sharing my grief is Allah. وَأَعْلَمُ مِنَ اللَّهِ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. And I know from Allah what you don't know. So I have trust in Him. And at this point, his sons feel some regret, the 9 sons. And so presumably they ask him what they should do. And so he says to them, and this shows the tawakkul. Over 35 years, he's still believing that Allah's there for him. And so he says to them, he says, go out in the land, try to find him, try to find Yusuf, try to get back to Nayamin. And don't despair from the rahmah, don't despair from Allah, because the only people who do that are إِلَّا الْقَوْمُ الْكَافِرُونَ. The only people who despair from the spirit of Allah are the people who are the disbelievers. And that's where we leave Yaqub alayhi salam's story with the example that we take of his incredible sabr and of his incredible patience. And now we're going to move to another prophet, Prophet Luqman alayhi salam in Surah Luqman. And here we're going to go through what he advised his son, and this is very applicable to all of us as youth, and also the way that he advises and how loving and caring he is.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ولقد آتينا لقمان الحكمة أن اشكر لله ومن يشكر فإنما يشكر لنفسه ومن كفر فإن الله غني حميد. وإذ قال لقمان لابنه وهو يعظه يا بني لا تشرك بالله إن الشرك لظلم عظيم. ووصينا الإنسان بوالديه حملته أمه وهنا على وهن وفصاله في عامين أن اشكر لي ولوالديك إلي المصير. وإن جاهداك على أن تشرك بي ما ليس لك به علم فلا تطعهما وصاحبهما في الدنيا معروفا واتبع سبيل من أناب إلي ثم إلي مرجعكم فأنبئكم بما كنتم تعملون. يا بني إنها إن تك مثقال حبة من خردل فتكن في صخرة أو في السماوات أو في الأرض يأت بها الله إن الله لطيف خبير. يا بني أقم الصلاة وأمر بالمعروف وانه عن المنكر واصبر على ما أصابك إن ذلك من عزم الأمور. ولا تصعر خدك للناس ولا تمش في الأرض مرحا إن الله لا يحب كل مختال فخور. واقصد في مشيك واغضض من صوتك إن أنكر الأصوات لصوت الحمير.
So over here we have a little bit of context about Luqman alayhi salam, and his wisdom is basically it is known that he was the there's many examples of stories of Hakim Luqman, or Luqman the sage, the wise. So Luqman alayhi salam was known for his wisdom, and the advice he gives his son, the key thing about it is mainly the way in which he does it. So on several occasions we see that it says, Ya bunayya, oh my son, this is what you should do. Oh my son, this is what you should do. And secondly, it teaches many things to us directly, which is, it says, one of the main verses here is, وَوَصَّيْنَا الْإِنسَانَ بِوَالِدَيْهِ. So we've given insan, the human being, the right, the inheritance. The parents are an inheritance upon you, and you are completely responsible for taking care of them, and to be good to them. Even if they don't need your care, you still have to be good to them. If they tell you to do something wrong, then you don't do that good, but you still live with them in a ma'roof way. So, telling off your parents, and of course I say this to myself before anyone else, that, you know, arguing with your parents or anything like that is, this is Luqman's advice to his son. He says that with your parents you have to be the most gentle possible. And this advice was so important from a man to his son that it was recorded in the Quran. And so that's the first thing that has to do with the parents. The second thing is that if something has إِنَّهَا إِن تَكُ مِثْقَالَ حَبَّةٍ مِنْ خَردٍ, so if you have even a mustard seed, and this is applicable to good or bad. So this kind of applies to us directly in when judging people or demonizing people, and it really discourages sectarianism or hateful behavior of any kind, really. And how we have to be, and it's our responsibility to be as forgiving and as rahim, or as kind unto one another as possible. The last two verses are وَلَا تُصَعِّرْ خَدَّكَ لِلنَّاسِ وَلَا تَمْشِ فِي الْأَرْضِ مَرَحًا. So don't big yourself up in front of people. Don't walk around the earth like you own it. So again, be humble, be kind, and don't come across as overbearing or looking down upon people. إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُحِبُّ كُلَّ مُخْتَالٍ فَخُورٍ. Allah doesn't like that. Allah doesn't like people who are proud, who are virtuous and proud. وَقْسِدْ فِي مَشْيِكَ وَغْضُضْ مِنْ صَوْتِكَ. So be purposeful in your walk. So don't pick yourself up when you walk, and be soft in the tones that you employ. And that's Luqman alayhi salam's advice to his son. Again, moving along the line of prophets, we come to another pair of prophets, Dawood and Sulaiman. And we're going to Surah Nahl, and the whole surah, the whole story of Surah Sulaiman in more detail is in Surah Saba or Surah Sad, and that's in more detail. We're going to focus on some aspect of it, and particularly the dua that he makes.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ولقد آتينا داود وسليمان علما وقال الحمد لله الذي فضلنا على كثير من عباده المؤمنين وورث سليمان داود وقال يا أيها الناس علمنا منطق الطير وأوتينا من كل شيء إن هذا لهو الفضل المبين وحشر لسليمان جنوده من الجن والإنس والطير فهم يوزعون حتى إذا أتوا على واد النمل قالت نملة يا أيها النمل ادخلوا مساكنكم لا يحطمنكم سليمان وجنوده وهم لا يشعرون فتبسم ضاحكا من قولها وقال رب أوزعني أن أشكر نعمتك التي أنعمت علي وعلى والدي وأن أعمل صالحا ترضاه وأدخلني برحمتك في عبادك الصالحين.
So the story of Sulaiman is famous because the story of Dawood alayhi salam and Sulaiman alayhi salam, the father and son, and Dawood alayhi salam had a great kingdom, and this kingdom was inherited, this knowledge and his prophethood as well was inherited by Sulaiman alayhi salam. And Sulaiman alayhi salam, it's known that his armies were so vast that he even included the jinn and animals. So he had the ability, he was given the gift to be able to talk to animals, to be able to talk to jinn, to be able to talk to the birds. So in this particular, the key thing about Sulaiman and Dawood alayhi salam is their humbleness. They were so powerful, yet they had the exact opposite of the pharaonic or the pharaoh's attitude of and they were very humble and down to earth with their power. So now this is giving us an example of a situation where Sulaiman was going and his army, his full army was on display and they were marching. And it's said about Sulaiman and Salam's army that when they used to walk, there'd be an assortment of different creatures. The army would be massive, the earth would be thundering with their sound. And for Sulaiman alayhi salam, there would be birds above which would be shading him. So they'd be flying between him and the sun. And that means that he probably had egos and things like that which he could control and who basically stood in his way. And his kingdom was based around Palestine, and we read in the story of Saba that when the queen of Saba was coming from Yemen, Sulaiman asked his army, he said, and he asked the biggest of the jinn, he asked them, he said, which of you can get me her throne? And one of them said, I'll get it for you in the time that it takes you to stand up. And the other one said, that's not good enough, I'll take it, I'll bring it for you in the time that it takes you to turn your head. So that's how powerful the forces at his disposal was. So he's marching through a valley somewhere in Syria, and this valley was heavily populated by ants. And this is very interesting, the language that the Quran uses. It says, وَقَالَتْ نَمْلَةٌ, so it says, an ant, a she-ant said. And only now we realize the ant colonial system works with a queen ant. So that's kind of going into the scientific miracles of the Quran. And also the word that the ant uses, يَحْطِمَنَّكُمْ, which means shatter, which means that Sulaiman's, so she admonished the other ants, and she said, all of you get into the anthills, because Sulaiman and his army are coming, and they might crush you underneath them, and they won't even realize it. So the crushing, the shattering word that's used is used usually for glass, and only now we've discovered that the ant's structure is the same as the glass structure. So that's another scientific miracle. So she said that, and she was warning the fellow ants, and Sulaiman alayhi salam heard that, and he heard the panic of the ant as she heard this massive army coming, who wouldn't even realize and obliterate the anthills, and they'd obliterate everything. And so this power that Sulaiman alayhi salam had, and it's interesting that the Qur'an's come to complete the other books of Revelation, because in some of the scriptures there are reports of the same story happening, but in it Sulaiman alayhi salam was very proud to the ant, and then the ant said to him, she said, did not Allah create you? And he felt the humbleness. But in the Quran, the way the story is told, it shows that this was not something that was befitting Sulaiman alayhi salam. He was humble from the start. So it says he laughed and he said, Rabbi awzi'ni an ashkura ni'matak. Oh Allah, give me the ability and give me the tawfiq to thank you for your blessings. So none of this is from me, and that humbleness is something that we can apply to ourselves, inshallah. That أوزعني أن أشكر نعمتك التي أنعمت علي وعلى والدي. So may Allah give me the ability and the tawfiq, grant me the tawfiq to thank you for the blessings you bestowed upon me and upon my family and upon my father in particular. وأن أعمل صالحا ترضاه, and that I do good deeds that make you happy, not just good deeds, but good deeds and they get accepted by you. So here Sulaiman is having he's hoping that his own intention is pure to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَأَدْخِلْنِي بِرَحْمَتِكَ فِي عِبَادِكَ الصَّالِحِينَ, and oh Allah, make me from your mercy, again this is from your mercy, I don't deserve it, but please make me from one of your righteous slaves, your righteous people. So that's the dua of Sulaiman alayhi salam. And the last passage we're going to go into is a passage from Surah Zumar.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل يا عبادي الذين أسرفوا على أنفسهم لا تقنطوا من رحمة الله إن الله يغفر الذنوب جميعا إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. وأنيبوا إلى ربكم وأسلموا له من قبل أن يأتيكم العذاب ثم لا تنصرون. واتبعوا أحسن ما أنزل إليكم من ربكم من قبل أن يأتيكم العذاب بغتة وأنتم لا تشعرون. أن تقول نفس يا حسرة على ما فرطت في جنب الله وإن كنت لمن الساخرين. أو تقول لو أن الله هداني لكنت من المتقين. أو تقول حين ترى العذاب لو أن لي كرة فأكون من المحسنين. بلى قد جاءتك آياتي فكذبت بها واستكبرت وكنت من الكافرين. ويوم القيامة ترى الذين كذبوا على الله وجوههم مسودة أليس في جهنم مثوى للمتكبرين. وينجي الله الذين اتقوا بمفازتهم لا يمسهم السوء ولا هم يحزنون. الله خالق كل شيء وهو على كل شيء وكيل.
So the key thing about this particular passage is the way it starts, which is قُلْ يَا عِبَادِيَ الَّذِينَ أَسْرَفُوا عَلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking directly to us, and He's saying, "Oh my slaves who have done israf is like spending extra, or spending in a wrongful way. So, oh my people who've basically wasted your own time, or you've basically committed injustice to yourselves. And how have you committed injustice to yourselves? This is by wasting your time in other things, by not making your connection with Allah stronger, and by doing things that make Allah angry. قُلْ يَا عِبَادِيَ الَّذِينَ أَسْرَفُوا عَلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ. You've done this injustice to yourself. لَا تَقْنَطُوا مِنْ رَحْمَةِ اللَّهِ. Don't despair from the rahmah of Allah. don't be shy to ask, and don't think that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala won't forgive you. There's nothing that you can commit which can be greater than the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So لا تقنطوا من رحمة الله إن الله يغفر الذنوب جميعا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives all sins. And this is the key part of this verse. وأنيبوا إلى ربكم وأسلموا له. And so come back to Allah before you get a great adab. وأنتم لا تشعرون, and you won't even be realizing. So you'll be lost in the world. And a man came to the Prophet ﷺ and he said, when is Qiyamah, Ya Rasulullah? And Rasulullah ﷺ he said, that's not your concern. Your Qiyamah is when you die, and that can come like this. And so a few verses down the line it says, أن تقول يا حسرتها. And hasra is the word saying like, so not that you will say, so it's kind of saying don't be in a situation where you end up saying ya hasrata. And ya hasrata is the most regretful statement that you can make. Don't be in a situation where it's kind of like when you're sitting in an exam and you're sat there and you're saying, well, like if I'd studied, I'd be in such a better position, and you feel that regret. Now multiply that regret 100,000 times over, because that was your last chance. There's no reset, and this was the test of your life. So don't be of those people who in Yawm al-Qiyamah would say, Ya hasrata ala ma farrat. Ya hasrat, oh shame of what I've done, and how I wasted my time. And I was so busy in disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that I never had the time to turn to Him. And at this point, it will be said to them, so no, you had warning from our side, and you did get warnings from us. You had signs given to you, but you ignored them or you rejected them, and so you've done this to yourself. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we are from on Yawm al-Qiyamah, we are with the prophets that we mentioned, and the righteous people, and we ask Allah again to not make us from those who are in the latter category, and who are regretful on Yawm al-Qiyamah, and their faces will be black. فَيَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ تَرَى الَّذِينَ كَذَبُوا عَلَى اللَّهِ وُجُوهُهُم مُسْوَدَّةٌ. And on Yawm al-Qiyamah you see the people who lied upon Allah, you'll see their faces will be black from regret, from the sorrow, because finally they've realized the gravity of what they had been doing their whole life. So we ask Allah to never make us from that, inshallah. And that's Jazakumullah khair for that. The purpose of this was kind of, we always have Quran at the beginning of our events, so this is kind of about making the Quran the event, in that the Quran has so many secrets about it, and you don't find them unless you open them and you read about it yourself. So this was kind of a little glimpse into that. And Jazakallah khair to our Qari for coming. The Shaykh, unfortunately, he fell very ill, so he couldn't. Jazakallah khair.
Jazakallah for coming, everyone. Just got a few announcements. I've got a video to show everyone. Sorry.
Plug the audio jack.
So if we don't support one another, who's going to support us? If the media is not willing to raise awareness about our problems and the oppression that we are going through, then who else will raise that awareness? We say, Allah, if you're going to give me wealth, give me contentment with my wealth. Allah, if you give me a beautiful wife and a car, then give me contentment with those things. What is the perception of happiness? What is the perception of being a good human being in this
Okay, also just a quick announcement. Today we've got casual football at 9 PM for the brothers. It's just £3. How much is it, Ivan?
It's between £2 and £3.
Yeah, £2 or £3. And just last reminder, this week is Quran week. Inshallah, we have an event on Thursday, another talk called Journey into the Quran. We also have recitation circles for brothers and sisters. Brothers in the SU prayer room, and sisters Hicks rooms F30. There was one session today, tomorrow, and inshallah on Thursday too. And lastly, we've got a 2-day Tajweed seminar on the weekend. You can get tickets from Muhammad Yusuf. Yeah, and that's it. Jazakallah for coming, everyone.